Have you ever wondered what would have happened if old generation protagonists fought against new gen villains? Do the new generation villains stand any chance against the legendary old gen characters? Well, to answer that, I picked the 7 strongest characters from the villain side and 7 protagonists from the old gen and split them into 5 stages. And if you have watched our previous video, you already know how this works. I'll start by revealing the first stage for both generations, and as the video goes on, I'll slowly keep adding more and more characters until we finally reach the end, where both generations will fight with their full strength. So for starters, we have Luffy from the old gen on one side and Muzan on the other. So here, Luffy steps in with Gear 5 right from the start, and Muzan enters in his strongest form as well. But the question is, does Muzan even stand a chance? On paper, he's terrifying. He's got near immortality, insane regeneration, poison, unpredictability, and much more. And to be honest, in his own verse, Muzan is the peak of fear itself. But when you put him against Gear 5 Luffy, the gap becomes impossible to ignore. Regeneration completely countered by Haki's ability to attack from the inside. Poison, Luffy's durability and resistance shrug it off. Unpredictability, Gear 5 is literally chaos incarnate. Luffy turns the battlefield into rubber, plays with physics like a toy, and fights with imagination itself. And then there's raw power. Muzan's feats, tearing apart buildings, blitzing humans, sound monstrous until you compare them to Luffy casually trading blows with Kaido, a Yonko who split the skies with Big Mom. We're talking mountain-level destructive force versus city-level at best. Muzan doesn't even enter the same conversation. And let's not forget, Luffy is Sun God Nika. If he really wanted to, he could just manifest a blazing sun right in front of Muzan. And for a demon who can't handle sunlight, that's game over before the fight even gets exciting. So in this stage, it isn't close. The old gen takes the win with ease. Now what if we add Kaiju number 9 to the mix? You see, this battle is technically less about Luffy versus Muzan and more about Luffy versus Kaiju number 9. Why? Because Luffy would just create a sun in the sky, disintegrating Muzan in mere seconds. Muzan might survive if he chose to run from the battlefield, but that wouldn't really count as a fight. So let's see how Luffy versus number 9 plays out. Kaiju number 9 is far more tactical and dangerous than Muzan when it comes to adaptability. He can assimilate weapons, evolve mid-battle, and even fuse with others to grow exponentially stronger. But Gear 5 Luffy is where the gap becomes impossible to close. His strength, shown against Kaido, reaches island-level destruction. His speed scales to top-tier characters like Kizaru, who moves at light speed. And most importantly, Luffy's Haki, especially his advanced armament Haki, let him bypass durability and regeneration completely, striking directly at number 9's core. The only area where number 9 could have an advantage is stamina. We know Gear 5 drains Luffy quickly, but here, that's not really an issue, because Luffy would finish the battle long before stamina becomes a problem. And the moment Luffy lands a single armament-coated punch, it's over, destroying number 9 from the inside out. And if number 9 ever dares to try absorbing him, the result would be the same as we have seen with Kaido when he tried to eat Luffy. So once again, the old gen walks away with the win. Now before we move ahead, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, what are you waiting for? Go on, click it. Now what if we add Lucius to the new gen side? Okay, so for those of you who don't know about Lucius, let me explain. He's the main antagonist of the Black Clover verse and possesses 6 different magic attributes: soul magic, time magic, gravity magic, body magic, blood magic, and bone magic. As a devil host, he already has an immense amount of magical power. Now, can Luffy take on all 3 of these villains at once? Well, not likely. You see, if Luffy tries to create a sun to force Muzan out, Lucius could simply block it with a barrier, erase it with time magic, or teleport it away with one of the countless spells in his arsenal. That means Muzan stays in the fight. And as we know, without sunlight, he can't truly be killed. This makes Muzan the perfect distraction. His regeneration, body manipulation, and poison keep him in the game far longer than most opponents could handle. Sure, he can't match Luffy's speed or strength, but he forces Luffy to burn through stamina non-stop. Meanwhile, Kaiju number 9 adds to the pressure, pushing Luffy to expend even more energy. With Muzan and number 9 constantly regenerating and stalling, Lucius gets all the time he needs to dismantle Luffy's body and spirit, and maybe even take control of him, just like he's done with others. So this time, the new gen villains finally score a win. But it is not the end, because it's time for stage 2, where we add Gon Gon to the old gen side. Okay, so here we're bringing in adult Gon. For those who don't know, in this form he sacrifices his future potential to maximize his present strength. It's arguably the strongest version of Gon. His aura output and physical power skyrocket, making him a true powerhouse, capable of pressuring even regeneration specialists. But to be honest, nothing much changes even with Gon added to the old gen side. Lucius can still dismantle the sun with his magic, keeping Muzan safe, while Muzan and number 9 focus on wearing down both Luffy and Gon. Once their stamina runs out, the villains have the clear advantage. And let's not forget, in anime, after using his adult form, Gon was left on the brink of death. That opens the door for Lucius to use his soul manipulation to resurrect him, turning him into a paladin, just like he did with the others in Black Clover. So here, once again, the villains take the win. Well, let's push things even further. It's time for Stage 3, where Meliodas from 7 Deadly Sins joins the old gen side. Well, now it's a perfect 3-on-3. So, do our protagonists finally stand a chance? Let's find out. This time, Luffy and Gon will be fighting Muzan and number 9 with no interference from Lucius. Why? Because Lucius has his own opponent now, Meliodas, who is a direct counter to his magic and manipulation. The fight between Luffy, Gon, Muzan, and number 9 plays out much like we saw in Stage 2. Luffy can simply create a sun, forcing Muzan to either disintegrate or run for his life, leaving number 9 as the only real threat. Back then, Luffy handled number 9 on his own, but this time, with adult Gon fighting alongside him, the battle becomes far too easy for the old gen side. Even if Lucius tries to help number 9 with his clones, Meliodas will ensure none of them ever reach the battlefield. Now for the main event, Lucius versus Meliodas. Lucius floods the field with clones and angelic soldiers, slows attacks with time magic, and threatens to override Meliodas' very soul. For most fighters, this would be an unwinnable scenario, but Meliodas is the perfect counter. His full counter ability reflects magical attacks right back, nullifying Lucius' clones and angelic barrages in an instant. Lucius may try to manipulate time for an edge, but Meliodas' demonic resilience and sharp battle instincts keep him in the fight. The real danger is Lucius' soul magic, capable of rewriting essence itself. Yet Meliodas' demonic core, resistance to curses, and sheer willpower make him far less vulnerable than Luffy or Gon, even when Lucius unleashes everything, combining time-slowing, clones, and angelic hacks. Meliodas still has the tools to overcome him. Of course, after such a large-scale battle, Meliodas would likely be drained and unable to fight further, but for now, that doesn't matter. This time, the old gen secures the win. Next, let's add Sukuna to the villain side. Now with Sukuna entering the game, the dynamics of this battle shift dramatically. It's nothing like the fight we just saw, because this time, Meliodas isn't only up against Lucius, but also the King of Curses himself. Previously, Meliodas acted as the perfect counter to Lucius, using full counter to repel his magical assaults. But with Sukuna on the field, everything changes. His cleave and dismantle techniques can slice through almost anything, bypassing conventional durability, and his immense cursed energy grants him devastating area of effect destruction. Combined with Lucius's time magic slowing the battlefield and his clones adding constant pressure, Meliodas quickly finds himself outnumbered and overwhelmed. Meliodas' durability and demonic power let him stand his ground for a while. He manages to reflect some of Lucius's spells and even trade blows with Sukuna, but Sukuna's versatility, especially with domain expansion, prevents him from relying on full counter alone. With 2 top-tier fighters pressing him at once, Meliodas can't destroy Lucius's clones fast enough before they scatter and assist elsewhere. Meanwhile, Luffy and Gon try to repeat the strategy we saw earlier, but this time, Lucius's clones interfere. With Meliodas locked down by Sukuna and original Lucius, no one is left to stop the clones. They swarm Luffy and Gon, cutting off their momentum, preventing Luffy from creating a sun and forcing both to burn through stamina until they collapse. So in this stage, no matter what our protagonists try, the villains secure the win. But we're not done yet, because it's time for Stage 4, where things get even crazier. This time, we're adding Ichigo, Natsu, All for One, and Makima to the battlefield. Alright, this battle's about to be epic, but hey, if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time to hit that button. Here's how the matchups break down. Luffy and Gon face Muzan, number 9, and All for One. Meliodas fights against Lucius, Sukuna takes on Ichigo, and Natsu steps up against Makima. Starting with Meliodas and Lucius, this one plays out much like Stage 3. With Sukuna out of the picture this time, Meliodas is free to focus solely on Lucius. His full counter continues to repel Lucius's magical assaults, preventing any clones from slipping away to interfere with the others. Eventually, Meliodas defeats Lucius, but just as before, he burns through everything in the process, leaving him completely drained and unable to lend a hand elsewhere. Now over to Luffy and Gon versus Muzan, number 9, and All for One. Muzan, same story as always, running for his life under Luffy's son. Number 9, shut down by Luffy's advanced armament haki, just like before. That leaves All for One as the real threat. With countless quirks, his versatility is impressive, but when it comes down to raw power, he's simply outmatched. Luffy's haki bypasses his durability, and Gon's brute strength pounds away at his defenses. Remember, even Kaido couldn't make Gear 5 Luffy flinch, so how would All for One? Eventually, against two peak shonen MCs, he collapses. With that, Luffy and Gon are free to support the others. Meanwhile, we've got Natsu Dragneel versus Makima. On paper, Makima's control powers and contracts are terrifying against humans, but Natsu isn't human. He's END, a demon created by Zeref and powered by Dragon Slayer magic. That makes him immune to her manipulation. Her psychological control, contracts, and even her name-based killing ability won't work here because Natsu isn't bound by human laws of sacrifice. As a demon-dragon hybrid, he stands completely outside her system, which means Makima's hacks falls flat, and Natsu's destructive firepower burns her down. And then there's the battle everyone is waiting for, Ichigo versus Sukuna, the Shinigami against the King of Curses. Sukuna summons Maharaga to adapt to Ichigo's attacks, while unleashing his domain expansion, Malevolent Shrine, to shred the battlefield with cleave and dismantle. Ichigo is forced onto constant guard as the environment itself is torn apart. But Ichigo is no stranger to overwhelming odds. He's fought transcendent beings like Aizen and Yhwach, and he's the perfect counter to someone like Sukuna. Ichigo activates his true Bankai. His sheer speed and devastating Getsuga Tensho overwhelms Sukuna's domain. Being a Shinigami with Hollow and Quincy powers makes him spiritually superior, allowing him to cut through cursed energy constructs with ease. Even Maharaga can't keep up. Its adaptation fails against Ichigo's hybrid powers and sheer dominance. Finally, Ichigo unleashes his ultimate Getsuga Tensho, striking directly at Sukuna's true essence, cutting him down in a single decisive slash. And with that, the stage ends in clear dominance. The old gen takes the win. But what if we add Naruto to the old gen and Cosmic Garou to the new gen side next? Okay, before anyone comes at me saying Garou isn't really a villain, but more of an anti-villain, you're absolutely right. But since he played the role of a villain during the Monster Association arc, we're going to include him here. And with Garou stepping onto the battlefield, the dynamics of this fight shift completely. Empowered by the influence of God, Garou's body constantly emits lethal levels of cosmic radiation, devastating to anyone nearby. Even S-class heroes couldn't withstand it, including Zombie Man, despite his powerful regenerative abilities. On the villain side, we'll assume Lucius shields his allies with his magic, since he essentially plays the role of a god. But for the old gen side, Gon crumbles instantly, and even Gear 5 Luffy takes a hit. Luckily, with Naruto restoring his stamina, Luffy manages to stay in the fight. Now here's how the matchups break down. Luffy and Naruto team up against Muzan, number 9, and All for One. Meliodas continues facing Lucius. Natsu battles Makima, and Ichigo goes up against Sukuna. But Garou doesn't waste time. He charges straight for the strongest, Ichigo. And to be honest, it's a disaster for Ichigo. While Sukuna alone isn't much of a problem for him, the addition of Garou changes everything. Empowered by God, Garou can copy Ichigo's attacks and scale them right back at him. Add in his cosmic radiation, infinite adaptability, and martial instincts on a godly level, and the fight turns impossible. Ichigo finds himself in a brutal 2-on-1, Sukuna attacking from the sides while Garou matches him blow for blow, even replicating his energy slashes. Before long, Ichigo is overwhelmed and struck down. Just so you know, it was said that if Garou and Saitama's punch had landed while they were on Earth, the planet would have been completely completely destroyed. That's the scale we're talking about here. So this time, Ichigo loses. Meanwhile, Luffy and Naruto have little trouble wiping out Muzan, number 9, and One for All. They then move to join Meliodas against Lucius, helping him avoid burning all of his stamina in a solo fight. But they aren't the only ones reinforcing the battlefield, because after defeating Ichigo, Garou joins Lucius, and Sukuna shifts over to assist Makima. From here, it's straightforward. With Garou and Lucius teaming up, the old gen side has no realistic chance. New gen win that fight with ease. On the other side, Natsu defeats Makima, but now has to deal with Sukuna. And once Garou and Lucius arrive to back him up, it doesn't matter what Natsu does. He can't handle all of them together. So this time, the villains take the win. Well, don't lose hope just yet, friends, because it's time for the final stage 5, where humanity's greatest savior, Goku, joins the old gen side. And this time, it's an all-out war. Sensing how dire the situation has become, Goku wastes no time, instantly taps into Ultra Instinct, his aura radiating across the battlefield like a beacon of hope. Meanwhile, Garou, always seeking the strongest opponent, locks eyes with him. Their paths collide, and the clash of monsters begin. That means in this stage, Garou faces Goku head-on, while the rest of the matchups remain the same as in stage 4. The only difference? Gon succumbs to the radiation, leaving the others to carry on. Now, let's be real. Goku isn't having an easy time here. Garou fights almost like a Saiyan himself. Every blow, every counter only makes him stronger. The longer the fight goes on, the faster he adapts, inching closer to Goku's level. Before long, he's even pushing Ultra Instinct to its limits. But here's the twist. Because Garou is locked in a duel with Goku, he doesn't have the chance to back up his allies like he did in the previous stage. And that changes everything. Lucius falls. Sukuna is cut down. Number 9 is erased. Makima and All for One are defeated. And Muzan, he's hiding in a corner, never daring to step into the light. On the other side, the old generation stands tall. Thanks to Naruto's support, nearly all of them are fighting at full stamina. Naruto blazing in Baryon mode, Luffy in Gear 5, Ichigo unleashing his final Bankai, Natsu burning hotter than ever in Dragon Force, and Meliodas wielding his full demonic might. So now the question is, can Garou truly stand against all of them? You see, as overwhelming as Garou is, even his godly evolution has limits. One-on-one, maybe he could push Goku to the edge, but against the combined might of the entire old generation, Garou simply cannot stand alone. And that's it. Nothing more needs to be said. The old generation claims this ultimate victory. Click on this video next, where we ranked the strongest duos in every anime series. Go on, check it out.